how to do these things by proxy because there's no appetite to send
plus
on the ground.
Plus, you have to sell it, to Congress.
You have to sell it to Congress.
You're not just saying it, and then also the fans. And remember, we they saw this coming, right?
Okay. But now you see the problem is the problem is that the gang leader who goes by the name Barbecue is speaking only Creole. So so if you throw commands in Pierre say do French, he's not gonna listen to you.
I think really I think really at the point when they are meeting Barbecue, there'll be no conversations. There'll be no conversations.
Because Barbecue already sent a warning. You already sent a public warning to any force that's planning to deploy.
And if you were the guy who was in his shoes, you would do the same thing.
Yeah.
Think of it this way. Put yourself in their shoes. They are in their country. They have been running their territory. They are home. And then these chaps are being brought into their country. As the way they're looking at it, these guys are invading their home, their space. They're going to defend it to the teeth.
Exactly. Yeah. And
in fact, there's no conversation. What should have been happening was that they should have been having, I think, and I don't know what they've tried, is they should have been having some sort of dialogue with these guys and try to figure out a way where they can say, okay, guys, look, we understand that you guys don't agree with the government of the day, blah, 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 nini. What can we do so that we can bring in a government that everybody agrees with?
Okay.
That dialogue should have been happening. But I think ilifika point wakasema to heck with the dialogue, probably especially after that president was assassinated, what was it, last year or the year before?
I think it was the year before.
When they went into the palace.
Yes.
They snuck into the palace.
Yeah, snipers snuck in and they're on camera. Like they have masks on camera. Now Pablo is saying your mic is squeaking, so I don't know. That's
something
my
mic?
We're gonna check.
Mic check 1 2 1 2.
So we're gonna check. Please confirm if Omoche's mic.
Yeah, ours be good.
Or maybe it's his voice. And then here, James says already the ratio of men to women is 1 to 5, and the other 4 women. You and history of polygamy. We're gonna talk about that later. And then let me see what other comments. Pablo is saying, I believe the mission will be successful. I just need specifics from GOK. Now, Pablo, you're putting the cart before the horse. You're saying you need you need GOK to say what they're gonna be doing.
No, but GOK already said the specifics they gave is that they're gonna be going to Haiti.
Yeah.
That's what they said.
No, but I think what Pablo is saying is that he is hoping that it's going to be, whatever the mission is going to be successful, and he knows it. And, I've been thinking about what they're probably going to do. It's just going to be like those regular UN missions whereby they're going to be given money, set up a camp somewhere that is pretty safe from the gangs.
And the patrol.
And most likely they'll be told to train a police force or actually do some policing, help police around with the local police, but I don't think they're going to engage in.
They're not supposed to. Normally, they're not supposed to, right?
Yeah, like normal US. I think the only time that they've engaged is when in Bosnia, when the UN camp was invaded, and then that I don't know, that was the mission when Kenyans really got a good reputation from, because they went and actually rescued the camp that was infiltrated. But then in Sierra Leone, when the rebels captured, was it General Mulinge? No, they captured some soldiers, and then General Mulinge, who was head of mission, gave himself up as a prisoner in exchange for the soldiers who were taken out. But then during all that fiasco, they attacked the rebels and they got all the hostages out. So I think this is going to be something like that.
But wasn't Sierra Leone?
There are chances of it being successful, Ali, because if all they're doing is just going to be doing proxy policing.
But wasn't Sierra Leone military? Because this is
It was military. But then again, there have been UN police missions before.
Okay.
This is not the first time there has been a police UN mission.
Okay.
So if it's just going to do the public policing and doing that, it might be a success, especially since it's going to be a multi-nation. But the thing is, if there's any confrontation and it turns ugly, then it's going to turn very ugly.
Okay, and then
very ugly.
Yeah, so Slay is saying it's like teaching guys Kiswahili, yet they are going where guys are speaking Sheng. And then Jodo says Haiti makes Kenya look like Dubai. Let them handle their problems. And then Esther says our police with their Calais accent speaking French Creole. And then Jodo says, what are we exchanging with Haiti voodoo? And then Pablo says, I don't think language should be an issue. People travel to countries that speak languages that they do not speak. The US go to Afghanistan and use interpreters. And this is very true. You know, like you do have people going to countries with interpreters. But myself having done an interpretation job, I don't even qualify. Despite the high level of interpretation I can do, I don't qualify to go become a US interpreter in a war zone. Like, let's say, for example, let's take, for example, like Eastern Congo. And the reason being, besides being an interpreter, you have to have, you know, like a certain type of training. If you're going, especially,
you need military.
If you're going
you need
to
have
be
the
embedded,
military
if
training,
you're going to be embedded with units, there's a special kind of training that you need, which, in all honesty, I don't know, you know, like whether Kenya has that. And to back to what Pablo was saying, we need answers. You know, the US has developed this. Remember, the US for years has been involved in foreign wars. So they have a lot of experience in this. They have a lot of personnel.
Maybe they will be sending their interpreters.
So and that's what we don't know. We don't know what, because US
we don't know
giving,
that. Yeah, we don't know
US
the inner
is giving
workings,
money. And I think part of the reason why US is giving money but is not willing to give up any troops is because currently there's no appetite for deploying troops to another country, especially after the debacle, you know, like in the just ended Afghan war. There's no appetite for that. So I strongly feel, and this again is my opinion, and the reason why we have to come up with opinions is because we've not been told everything. My opinion is that this is an experiment that the US is trying of how to do these things by proxy, because there's no appetite to send boots on the ground.
Plus, you have to sell it, you know, to Congress.
You have to sell it to Congress.
You know, you're not just saying it, and then also the fans. And remember, we you know, they saw this coming, right? Remember, we had a government shutdown that was coming down, right? The political will is just not there. Right? They don't have the political
there's no
will.
appetite of boots on the ground.
There's no appetite for boots on the ground.
Time at all.
Yeah, there's no appetite for boots on the ground. So this is an experiment that they're trying of how they're gonna be deploying in places where they want to deploy. So to me, I feel like Kenya is a pawn in a much larger strategic experiment, because you curiously notice, you know, the things that have been happening, starting from when Ambassador Meg Whitman was confirmed as an ambassador. It happened to be right before the election. So we don't know whether this is a coincidence. Now, this is where I say this is speculation, but she was appointed right before the elections. And then, you know, like she came into the ambassadorship before we had the elections. And then a couple of months down the line, Meg Whitman comes and says that the Kenyan election was the most credible. And remember, she's a diplomat. And it could be right. It could have been the most credible election, but she's a diplomat, you know, whereby you're not supposed to wade in.
Yes, you're supposed to be neutral.
Political things
you really
are
are supposed to be neutral.
And then beyond that, remember when the president came to the US, Meg Whitman was gallivanting around with him like he was the Kenyan ambassador. You know, that was very, very weird, because on such a mission, you expect the Kenyan ambassador to have the forefront. Meg Whitman is supposed to be in Kenya, you know, like trying to find American business from Kenya, but she was here actively. That was very unusual, you know, protocol-wise. I've never seen something like that before, but we need to understand. And then President Biden gave a shout-out on a UN speech. Those speeches are short, and they're very deliberate, and they're very specific. So there's something that we are not being told.
Ali, remember, we also have the trade agreement.
Yes, there's a trade agreement negotiations that are still going on.
Which is still ongoing. And that's been going on since the end of Obama's time. So
is Moses Kuria still on that thing? Oh, sorry, carry on.
No, Moses Kuria has been deployed to another ministry.